Alright, this video is called The Last Voice. And I showed in my previous video how the rapture, when it's talked about in 1 Thessalonians 4 and Revelation chapter 4, that it is just using the words trump and trumpet to describe a sound. And that it's actually talking about the voice of God. It's not talking about an actual trumpet blast. So knowing that, then we go in 1 Corinthians 15 and we see this at the last trump we shall all be changed. So that's actually saying at the last voice of God. Now, thinking upon this, Revelation chapter 18 came to my mind. And I believe that Revelation chapter 18, please read it on your own, is talking about the city of New York. And this is the city where all the men are made rich and the merchants and all of the kings of the earth have fornicated with her. And then it gets destroyed. And it actually alludes to fire and water. And there's a great millstone thrown by an angel in the ocean, in the waters. And that would create a tidal wave. And how many movies have we seen with New York getting hit by a tidal wave? It's always New York getting destroyed. Always New York, right? And so I really think that Revelation 18 is talking about New York. And so the amazing thing about this that caught me when I was thinking about the last voice and the rapture is a verse in here in chapter 18. Again, 18 is 666. New York in gematria is 666. You can't even make that up. Go check it out yourself. Go on the Google and Google gematria calculator and just type in New York and it'll prove it to yourself. Okay, so it's amazing that it's in chapter 18 here, which I believe is talking about New York, and 18 is 6 plus 6 plus 6. Now the verse that caught my attention when thinking about the last voice or the last trump is chapter 18 verse 23. It says this: "And the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee, and the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee." That's amazing to me, because Jesus is the bridegroom and we are the bride. And it talks about the voice of the bridegroom and the bride will be heard no more in her. So that means that after the rapture, the last voice, then we have what I believe is the 3 years of darkness. And we can see this pattern, as I've shown, in the Strong's Concordance. But look at that verse. See, once you get, it's a piece of the puzzle. Once you understand that the rapture is a voice, it's not an actual trumpet, then you can connect it with this. Because you're not looking for a voice to connect it with this. You're looking for a trumpet blast. But once you understand it's a voice, then you connect it with Revelation chapter 18, the voice of the bridegroom and the bride heard no more in thee. That's interesting to me, right? The last voice. And then we have another pattern that I want to show you guys. Now, as I've shown you before, the years 2026, 2027, and 2028, I believe, are the 3 years of darkness. Everybody's talking about 3 days of darkness, but if you understand the Bible, God extrapolates days into years. Just like he did it in the wilderness, he turned 40 days into 40 years for Israel to wander in the wilderness. And he can also change it into jubilees, or he changes 1 day into 1,000 years. 2 Peter chapter 3 verse 8, a day is as 1,000 years to the Lord. 1,000 years is as a day. So we see these patterns all over the place. And that 3 days of darkness is going to be extrapolated into 3 years of darkness. And in the concordance, when you look these up, I know I've shown this before, but I want to show you something else. 2026 in the concordance is to kill and slay. 2027 is slaughter, and 2028 is slaughter. Then if you look in the Hebrew years of 2026, 27, and 28, that would be 5786, 5787, and 5788. Okay, it's just in the Hebrew years. And in the concordance, it's blind, blind, and blind. So you have slaughter and blind. It's going to be a blind slaughter for these 3 years, right after the rapture, like I've been saying, in 2025. Now, amazing pattern here is that I've shown you guys how next year is the year of the dragon, 2024 on the Chinese calendar, right? And then 2025 is the year of the snake, right? This is an amazing pattern because we have it coinciding with these last days. And we know in Revelation chapter 12 that the dragon is ready to devour the man-child, and then the man-child is caught up. That's a picture of us. That's a pattern for us now. The man-child was one body, which is Christ. Now we are his body, and we repeat that pattern. Ecclesiastes 1:9. These patterns are all repeating themselves, just in larger ways. So, the amazing thing about that, 2024 is the dragon, 2025 is the year of the snake, which is the Antichrist also, right? 20 times 25 is 500. 500 in the concordance is Antichrist. You got to be fruitful and multiply. But 500 also in the Hebrew in the concordance is God ascends. Well, that's the man-child ascending. Christ, God, ascends. But now that is a picture of us, Christ in us, the hope of glory. So now, 2025, we ascend. You see all these amazing things? But now look at this. Then you have the 3 years of darkness, right? 2026, 27, and 28. Now watch this. Watch this. 2029 on the Chinese calendar is the year of the rooster. Now this is the year that Christ comes back. This is it, okay? And I believe he comes back on Shavuot in 2029. But the year of the rooster, what significance would that have? Well, look at what just happened. In 2028, 27, and 26, these are the 3 years of darkness. And then we have the year of the rooster. Well, how many times did Peter deny Christ? 3 times. And the cock crowed 3 times. You can't even make these patterns up. So we have that pattern right here in the last days. This is one of many. 2029 also means in the concordance to assemble self. And that would be his people, Matthew 25. Right? If you've done it to the least of these, you've done it to me. So that's himself, his people, I mean, even by blood. Okay, there's a remnant still that exists of the Hebrews that is pure bloods. And that is what the Bible is talking about, assemble self. Okay? Now, this is amazing. This is incredible to me. How it's like everything. You look in the Chinese calendar, you have this amazing pattern. Then you look in the Strong's Concordance, and the years are matching up with events and the definitions in the concordance. And then you look in Gematria, and you have these amazing patterns. How Revelation chapter 18 is 666, and I believe that's talking about New York. And then New York equals 666 in Gematria. And then you look at the heavens, right? Then you look at the heavens, and we have these eclipses, we have these blood moons, we have these constellations, the sun that is going through constellations, and it's just it's all around us. It's all of the signs are all around us, but we've been trained not to look at them. They put us in most people work a 40-hour week job and it's hard to even pay their rent. That's how the system is set up, so that your mind is focused on the things of this world and not looking up. But once you're able to look up, man, these patterns are everywhere. They're in the Bible, and it's all connected. Like, the last days is connected to the Chinese calendar. And I always think, and tell people if I ever talk to them, that, some of those stories, there's hundreds of flood stories. So you have the same characters with a little different name, but the story is the same. You think God is just going to leave everybody out just because they're, not Americans? Now you got to think bigger than that. God is way bigger than that, man. He knows what he's doing. We don't know exactly what he's doing all the time, but he's showing me patterns that are showing me what he's going to do. So again, the year of the dragon 2024, that is going to be just a massive, crazy year, I believe. And then we have the year of the snake after that. And that's also the year of the Antichrist, the snake. The snake in the garden. All that pattern is repeating itself. Everything is repeating. It's amazing. That's Isaiah 46:10. God declares the end from the beginning. You can even see it in the Chinese calendar. It's crazy.